You find tiny, bare-bones clinics like this one in nearly every neighborhood in Cuba. Cuban officials hope that they are finally turning the tide of the pandemic by administering Cuba's homegrown vaccines to millions of people in the coming months. That this small, cash-strapped island has developed 5 vaccine candidates, 2 that are in the final stages of testing, is a point of pride among some of the 80 people who received their first dose the day we visited this clinic in a working-class neighborhood on the outskirts of Havana. I have confidence in the vaccine, in the scientists, she says, in the revolution, in everything. Nationalist sentiment aside, Cuba is facing its darkest days of the pandemic. Early on, the leaders of the communist-run island decided to produce their own vaccines, rather than buy and import them from other countries. Tight controls seem to keep the pandemic at bay, until late in 2020, when the island reopened to international travel. That increase in visitors, combined with the new variants, fueled the highest surge in cases that the island has seen to date. What health officials are now administering isn't a fully tested vaccine, but a vaccine candidate that they believe will be effective. Cuban health officials tell CNN they don't expect to know the exact efficacy of the 2 most advanced vaccine candidates until June. But they say they can't afford to wait any longer to administer the only medicine they have to stem the spread of the virus. We are moving up the mass vaccination by a month, approximately, in certain at-risk populations, he says, fundamentally based on the evidence we have of security and the immune response generated by our vaccine candidates. Cuba has decades of experience in vaccine making and mobilizing their own population. Cuba had a late start to vaccinations, but officials say they are now making up for that lost time, bringing the full weight of the state's resources to bear here. So the majority of this island, some 70% of all Cubans, are vaccinated by September. While Cuban officials say taking the vaccine candidates is voluntary, they send what are known as committees for the defense of the revolution. The revolution's foot soldiers, to go door to door to tell people when and where they can get the experimental vaccine. They go apartment to apartment, scheduling people's appointments, he says. The process then flows. The people come who are supposed to, and they know the day and the time to be here. Despite the many challenges they still face, Cuban officials say they hope to be the first country to vaccinate their entire population with a homegrown vaccine. As the number of cases and deaths rise higher and higher here, there isn't a moment to waste. Patrick Oppmann, CNN Havana.